Hello everyone. This is Mohammed Yamam. I'm the Windows Phone Technical Evangelist for Microsoft Middle East and Africa, and that's my Twitter m_Yamam, and that's my blog post, my blog URL that you can see on the slide. So this is one of the sessions, continuous sessions that we're having for the MEA DPE Internship program. Just if you got the just want to note something because I don't want to forget about it. If you got any link for if you got the meeting request forwarded to your Outlook, most probably you will find a session on next week, which is not happening because next week is holidays in most of the region. So I'm not planning to deliver any session on the holidays. However, if you check the blog and the dates on the blog, you'll find that there is no session for next week. So just in case if you have it on your calendar, I'm just wanted to assure there are no sessions for next week. We're going to resume from the week after, continuing the following session as per schedule. So there are no delays in the schedule. So let's start with building Windows Phone applications. As I mentioned earlier, this session will go through. We'll talk about building Windows Phone applications. So if I assume that most of you, if not all of you, went through Windows Phone 8 development, then most of you knows about these things. These are fundamentals or the basics about Windows Phone 8 app development. That you should all know when building your applications. However, the next part, that's why I added the asynchronous programming to this session, so that like if you know this thing, then it would be really nice that you get to know the asynchronous programming, and we show some demos to clarify how to use the async and the wait, and what do they mean and what do they do. So starting with page navigation. So if we look at the anatomy of the screen display area, if you can see here, the outer container for everything that goes on in your application for all the pages is the frame. You don't really program the frame at all. It's just there throughout the life of your application. You know, just where the pages display. In fact, if you look down in the initialize phone app method in your app.xaml.cs file, which we'll go through when you open the Visual Studio, you'll see that the phone application frame object is initialized and it just sits there. So whenever you open any or you start any Windows Phone project, you'll find that there. It's part of it's kind of the backbone of your page. It also contains the system tray and the application bar, and we'll show how to do the application bar. It's just in a couple of clicks instead of writing code. Just to sum it up, it's a top-level container. You know, phone application control contains the system tray and app bar, while the application, which is inside the frame as you have here, it contains the page contains the content area. You know, the controls that you use for your application and whatever content that you would like to have. Okay, so for page navigation, just let you know, XAML apps on Windows Phone use a page-based navigation model. It's similar to web page model. So if you are familiar with the web development, it's really similar to that sort of development. Each page is identified by a URI. The pages are essentially stateless, which is the state of the Windows Phone pages. In order to navigate from a page to another, all you have to do is call the navigation service. So every page has a property called navigation service, which exposes the application-wide object used to do the page navigation, right? So you just call page navigation service dot navigate, and then you put you add a URI there, and that URI is a new URI, which is, for example, like the second page. That's what you want to use to navigate from the first page to the second page, and then you add the kind of this URI, whether it's relative or absolute, or relative or absolute. And the difference is the relative means that you don't need to put the full URI or URL for the page, but if it's absolute, then you add the full URL. And then if you don't know, then you just put URI kind of absolute or relative, and then you know that you'll get it. And you leave it to the system to figure it out. That's when you use the relative or absolute. Okay, so that's how you do the navigation from a page to another. As simple as that, one line of code, and then you're good to go. Navigating back, you can put buttons, hyperlinks, app bar buttons. Let me just ask you questions. So you are all familiar with this, or do you want me to go through a demo about how to do that in a few seconds? You just do a quick demo. It's okay if you're not familiar. That's the reason why we're holding the session. Okay. Am I seeing any questions here on the demo? Will do. Okay. Just a very quick demo. Yeah. Okay. Phone app 22. And again, when we select the application, which of course we target the Windows Phone 8 as an OS target. And then, right click on your project, create that second page that you would like to navigate to. So add a new item, and then whatever pages you'd like to add. So just another page, page1.xaml would do the trick. And in my main page, you can just, drag and drop from the toolbox. I can easily drag and drop a button. Oh. Wow. And double clicking that button. Oh wow. I can just double click the button so that I go to the code behind and just and I can just add the navigation service. So navigation service dot navigate, and when you open the bracket, you need to add a URI, the source of the URI you need. So just add new URI and then identify the URI that you have. You can either put a string, or as these are the options: the URI kind or the relative URI that you would like to do, like a base URI and the relative URI to it. My screen is updating very slowly. Thank you, Leslie, for the tip. Okay, I'll try to be a little bit slower so that you follow me. And okay, do you want me to zoom in, or is it good? Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, it's good. Okay, perfect. So again, we add here the string, which is the URI. So the URI, the page is page1.xaml. So we just like page1.xaml, and then just add the URI kind dot, oh, not that one, URI kind, yep, dot, and then you add the options that whether relative or absolute. So now it's in the same folder, it's in the same path. So just I'm gonna add it as relative, and then I can just build my app. And it's built, so it's, as you can see, in build 1 succeeded, and then I can just run that on my emulator. I have one emulator running, so I just don't want to spend more time on other emulators. So here's my emulator. Interesting. I don't have even the button in my main page. Wow. This is unique. I've never seen that before. Oh, you know what? I'll just open a new emulator. Just you put the page. Oh, really? Did I put it in page 1? Not in. Ah, okay. Wait. Thank you. Yep. Thank you. Thank you. I told you I'm sick and I have a fever, so bear with me. Oh my God. Okay, let me copy paste that and just let me do it on page 1 then. So navigation service dot navigate. Okay. So URI, and oh my God, that's that's quite funny. Okay, and then we can add the URI kind relative, and then we're good to go. Okay, just hold on a second. Just someone needs to be added to the call. Okay, so so we can just build. Let me just go to this and delete that button from here. That's so funny. Okay, let me build. Okay, I wish I did not close my emulator, but it's okay. Then I'll have to run the emulator from the beginning. Might take some time because as you all guys know, it's adding a copy of the OS, running a copy of the OS on the emulator. So yeah, that's the button. Of course, we're not here tracking any UI, but just clicking the button, you're going to the other page, which is not, they did not add anything to identify it, but just to remove the other button from it. So that's why you're moving to the other page, right? But you can just rename you go to the main page and just rename the page name for that one. Yep, that's fast enough. Thanks, Collins. So yeah, I don't think we need to because I need to go through a lot of things, and I need to I'm expecting more questions from the asynchronous programming part. Okay, so guys, if okay, so let me stop debugging and go back to the slides again. So navigating back, you can put okay, you can put buttons, hyperlinks, app bar buttons, or other controls on a page and execute that code. You know, that causes the current page to be removed, and the user navigates back to the previous page that they were on. So for going back, you use navigation service to go back. That's it. I mean, that's when you want to go back. So there's, so Silverlight maintains a navigation history stack, just the same as web browser does. The app launches with main page to XAML, so that is the first entry in the history stack. And when you navigate to the second page to XAML, second page is pushed onto the stack, and then when you run the navigation service that go back is called, the second page is popped off the top of the stack, and we go back to the main page. That's exactly what happens when you call the navigation service to go back. I mean, like, you don't need to develop this normally. I mean, like, unless you have something, and we'll just we'll just talk about the situation when you might require to override the back button key, because navigation back, we've got the hardware back key on our Windows Phone, as you can see here on the emulator as well. That just does the trick for you. So you don't need to worry about going back unless you want to do some sort of scenarios that we'll talk about. So overriding the back key. So you may need to override the back hardware key if back to previous page is not a logical behavior, which means that, for example, if you have an application that pops up a pop-up panel, like, I don't know, maybe like, asking the user to do something, and then you just use the pop-up panel. So a normal user experience would be when you press the back button, you don't exit the page. Actually, you should close the panel with that back button, right? Because from a user's perspective, he's not on the same page. He's on a different he has a different active frame to him, right? So so for him, like, a back would return him to the page that he was on, which, I mean, like, practically he was on the same page, but that panel is kind of overwriting that for him. So, like, from a user experience, overriding the back key at this situation would be a fine thing to do. So so any questions about that? So here's how you do that. You just override the phone application page back key press. You'll find that's very easy. So the way to do this is to hook the page back key press event, which you can do in the XAML of the page as shown in the slide. Okay, so you can just do that in the XAML of the page, or in the code. Okay, so in the code, in the arguments to the event handler code of the back key press, you get just a cancel event args object. Simply set that cancel property to this object to true. So that means that you're telling the system that we've handled the back key. You don't need to worry about the back key. Okay, I'm hearing some stuff here. I'm getting questions. Let me check. It allowed on Windows 8 store apps. I think I think Ibrahim Kivanchi is having a session after this one. So I'm not sure. I mean, like, I delivered a session about building for Windows Phone and Windows 8 applications, but I did not go to the navigation in Windows 8, because the navigation in Windows 8, it's a little bit different in terms of how you don't call the navigation service. There's something else. It's pages, I guess. So it has a different scenario. You might ask Ibrahim in the next session that's gonna follow my session. So another question is, okay, let me just do that. I'll view. So is it can be done, but I meant, is it allowed to disable the back button? Yeah, that's what I meant as well. Like, it's not, we're not disabling the back button. You're just overriding the behavior of the back button. Okay. So that's we're not disabling the back button at all. The back button will always be there and active. You cannot disable any of the hardware keys of the Windows Phone. I mean, I haven't seen any application that does that, and I don't really recall any of the APIs that can do that for you. But what you can do for the back button, you can override the behavior of the back key. You can like tell the system that you over that you already pressed the back button, and then you hide the pop-up window in a code in the code behind. So that would like, so you just either cancel equals true, that you're telling the system I have handled the back key press. So the back does not means that, so you're not canceling the activity of the back. You're just telling the system that you already did that on in the code. So you already did that on the code, and now that's the code that is following this pop-up. I mean this cancellation. Okay. Is it clear? No? Yes? Okay, perfect. Okay. Let's get back to the slides. Okay. What about passing data between pages? So you can pass string data between pages using query strings. So essentially, pages in Windows Phone XAML app are essentially stateless, right? So an instance of the page is created when you navigate to the page, and when you navigate back from the page, the instance is destroyed again. So they don't really exist outside that brief lifetime. So that means that you will nearly always want to pass some contextual data from a page to another. I mean, like, depending on your application logic. You can try to do this adding a query string onto the end of the page URI, like exactly in this example. So again, if just putting so this is a navigation service. Okay, so you navigate from the page that you're currently at to the second page.xaml. Okay, and what you're passing is we're passing the value, for example, of a text box. So we've got a text box 1.text. That's the value of the text box. We will need to pass that value to the next page, and then we render this value, and then we do something else on that page. For example, if you're selecting you're making a filter of a countries, so you type Lebanon, for example. So you want to pass this Lebanon to the other page, so that you show the data of Lebanon. Right, so that's what you can do. I mean, like, of course, you can do that within the same page, but just from
Yama, what is this URI kind dot relative to?
Okay, URI kind dot relative means that it's the page is in the same the page is relative to the folder that it's in. So for example, if you are targeting a website, you don't use a relative. Most probably you're going to use an absolute. Because the page I mean the destination or the path of the pages, they're not you don't have the path of the pages as a slash and then the page name. It's like on the machine it's C, or from starting from the project, then slash page folder, and then so imagine that you have a folder of pages, and then inside this folder like the view models, and then inside the view model 1, view model 2. So if you're doing this navigation within the same folder, then you can just say relative to this route, then you're navigating to this page. So that's exactly what it does mean. Okay, thanks. Okay, so let's get back. So again, so that this is how you pass it. You just add a label to the queries string that you want to send. Like for example, message MSG, country, whatever you want, and then you add equal. And don't forget the exclamation, the question mark after the page. So you add the page and then followed by a question mark, and then followed by a kind of the label of that or the string that you want to pass, and that's the value of that string, and use an equal sign and then the value of the string. And you can pass more than one value, by the way. You can pass more than one parameter between pages. All you have to do then, you will add an ampersand sign, and then another string, and then another equal, and then another value.
Just like we do it in ASP.
Yes, exactly. The same behavior that you do with ASP. Thank you. So that's how you do that. So, and on the destination page, okay, we've got like the onNavigated to. Okay, and the onNavigated to, that's we've got like onNavigated to and onNavigated from methods that you can overwrite. So you need to extract, so on the on destination page, you need to extract the data from the query string. we often do that in the onNavigated too, which means that we would like to execute this code in this method in the once we navigate to this page, to the destination page we're in. While the onNavigated from, there's another method called onNavigated from, which means that we'd like to execute this code once we'd like to navigate from this page, or once before we leave this page. Okay, so this is the difference between onNavigated from and onNavigated. It's very easy from the name, of course, but I just wanted to make sure that you know that they both exist. So in this example shown on the slide, the code calls the navigation context dot query string dot try to get value. We're trying to get the value of the message. That's the label or the string of that we're sending, and we're storing this value in a query string value of a string. Okay, we're storing that value there, and then we're getting that value and putting it in another text block in the destination page. This is as easy as that.
What is this out keyword written over here?
That's the out keyword. It's just saying like it's how you it's like the you're getting that value being passed. You just put it there inside this message. It's how you put it actually.
Okay, it's a syntax.
Okay. What about passing objects between pages? You can only pass strings in a query string. Okay, that's for Windows Phone. However, you can pass objects. That's I mean, you can definitely do that in a especially in an MVVM approach. However, you need to so given we have the app class, so let me just go to the app class that we're having here. So hold on a second. So in any application, you'll find the app.xaml. Okay, in the app.xaml.cs, that is a global class across the application. So if you need to have any global variables, you put that here. For example, if you're planning to we're going to talk about the Windows Phone application lifecycle management, which will handle the application in terms of once the what do you want the application to do once it runs, it starts, or the application launch. What do you want to run once the application is activated and deactivated, or the application is closing? These are events that you can that you can add the code to, so that you handle the application and the application life cycle of your application. Most probably people, for example, they're using that for storing data before the application closes, or before the application being deactivated, or loading data from the storage when the application being launching or activated, or what have you. So this is a global class that you'll have in every Windows Phone 8 application. So a question: what if I need to pass an object without following the MVVM approach? It's not about following the MVVM approach. Thanks, Sharif, for asking the question. It's not about following the MVVM approach. I just said like you will mostly need it in the MVVM approach. But if you need to pass an object, actually it's kind of a trick. Okay, so it's not like you're passing the object. You are passing an ID to that object. So let me give you a sec.
Good question.
Okay, binding. I'm not sure what's the question of binding, Leslie. Through binding, you need to pass an object through binding. No, I'm talking about passing object between pages. Yes, you can do that definitely. Yeah, through binding. You mean through binding through to your view model? You can definitely do that through a two-way data binding or a one-way data binding. You can do that, of course. But like if you want to pass it as a through navigation, what you can do is here. Let me just show you. So what you can do is, for example, if you have a list of objects, okay, and you have this list of objects containing, for example, an ID. So what you can pass is the value of that ID, okay, and this value that you pass, then you retrieve it in the other page, and this value that you pass to the destination page, you get this value, and then you check again in the list that you have, and then you get the object from that list. So you're passing a value, an ID value in the list of objects that that you have, and then you query that value, and then you get the you can get that from the globally known list in your application. I don't think is that clear? You want me to go through it again? Okay, let me check. questions? Exactly. Anyway, not a good approach to pass objects between views, always via controller view model. Oh, I think Leslie's been an MVVM developer. I think he's been using the MVVM because using controllers that's an MVVM, something in the view models, which is not covering here. But I'm just exposing different. It's an MVC, yes, as well. I mean, MVVM and MVC are very very close. So I mean, if you know MVC, then the move to MVVM, you won't find lots of differences. I mean, like they're quite similar. Okay. So getting back. Okay, so what about handling non-linear navigation? So you can design your app navigation strategy carefully. So for example, if you can see here, that's a navigation. Okay, are we getting questions? Let me check. Yeah, sometimes I get confused because there is a lot of, yep, it is. There are lots of similarity. So if you don't know MCV, then that's good for you. Then you learn MVVM just from the start. However, if you know MCV, then that's also good for you because it will make it easier for you to learn the MVVM. So it's a tricky thing actually. Okay. So handling non-linear navigation. So many apps have a nice clean navigation model where the user starts with the main page, navigates to the second page, and then go to the third page, fourth page, and you can move on. And then the way out is to go back, right? So go back from the third to the second and then from the second to the first or to the main page that you have. That's a nice clean linear navigation model which is clear to the user and easy to program. Everything is easy. You're just going one way and you're returning to the same way. What about non-linear navigation, which means that you're kind of going through a circle? So if you're going from the main page to the second page, and from the second page to the third page, and from the third page, you're navigating here. I know it's not clear. Let me try to zoom in. Okay. So that should be you're navigating back to the main page. Okay. So if you click this button, you should go back to the main page. So this is non-linear. This is kind of entered like a loop, right? So a user behavior, I mean, like it's end of the day you've got a stack. I mean, like what a user should expect when he returns to the main page and presses back, he leaves the application, right? But if you do not handle that as a programmer or as a developer for your application, the application will return to the third, and then to the second, and then to the main, and then and then popping everyone from the stack of the navigation that history that you're having. So something that you need to worry on and make sure. So we've got Windows Phone. We've got something called Windows Navigation Service dot remove back entry, which helps you solve this problem. So if we take a look at this example, so when the third page navigates to the main page, you can put a marker in the query string, for example, like here, home from third equals true, right? And then that means that, and then when you go to the navigation page, you know that you're coming from the third to the main page. Then you can remove the stack from, then you just run that 3 times. Navigation service remove back entry. Then you remove that from the navigation stack that you have. You remove the third page, the second page, and then remove the original page, and then you'll be back here at the main page. So you move 1, 2, 3. So it's like the main, third, second, you'll be at the main page, which is what you should do. So you need to make sure if you're going linear, that's easy to program, no problems with that. If there is any sort of a non-linear navigation, you need to do that yourself. Any questions? Anything not clear about that? Let me check. Is there a flush method? Not that I know of. No. Not that I know of, honestly. I mean, like I haven't heard of flush methods for that one. But you can create your own. I mean, the problem with the flush methods. I mean, I don't think that I haven't seen something like flush method, but I get your point. But just thinking about it, honestly, like just think about your application. It can work, but it can be tricky. For example, if you use it a lot in one of your applications, then you can. What if you don't want the user to go back from the main to I mean, yeah, if you return to the main page, you want to exit, right? But what if you add some sort of another logic? You go to out of the you might leave the application, then you want to return back to the same place. So it depends. I think there's an attribute called no history. You have to set it to true. Oh, can try that one. The fast app switch. Thanks, Collins. Thanks very much. And yeah, okay. Thanks. So as Collins is telling you, if you flush, it will make fast app switching harder. Yes, I mean it will do that, but again, it depends on your on your app logic. I mean, like if people are not familiar with the fast app switching means when you open your application, you navigate, for example, in our example to the third page, and then you press the start button, and you open the application again. What happens in the Windows Phone is that you start the application from the beginning, a new instance of your application, which is not true, which is shouldn't happen. What happens should be, from a user experience, you should open in the same page where you left your application at, and that way you should do with an fast app switching or fast app. Actually, not fast app switching. I'm talking about fast app resume. Sorry, Collins. Fast app resume. That's what you should do. Though it might affect it, might not. It depends on how you want your application to look like. Okay, let's continue. Okay. So moving on to the application bar. So guys, please let me know. I mean, like by the end of the session, if you want me to, if there are any, or now even if you have any questions, please feel free to stop me. I'm more than happy to help. So regarding the application Chrome or the application bar, the application Chrome itself, which is that area, it contains our system tray and the application bar. Okay, so the screen display area is divided into as you can see here. The system tray, the strip at the top, contains the 3G, the clock, the Wi-Fi, the battery, and whatever you want to be there. If you want your application to be full screen, you can choose to hide it. There's this property that you can set to false, which is the system tray is visible is equals false. Then you can hide your system tray. Depending on your application, you can set it to true as well, whatever you want. So again, if you want to hide it, you can just set it to false, which you can do in the page in the XAML of your page. But you need, but think before you do that and make sure your full screen really enhances your application, because many users dislike not being able to see the status icons, and I'm one of them actually. Like when I'm playing a game, I want to check the battery, or when I'm doing something, I want to check the battery of my phone. I mean, like, should I continue or should I stop or whatever? So if it really matters, just do it. If it doesn't, then depending on the user's experience. Okay, that's from the system tray. What about the application bar? So the application bar is the strip along the bottom, as you can see it in the picture there. That's when you are in a portrait mode. However, if you go to a landscape mode, it will be on the left margin, for example, where apps can put buttons for commonly used tasks. You can add also some items. We'll show that. And so these are kind of buttons that you can handle, and you can and you can bind some events, and we'll talk about that now, and we'll develop an application bar right away. So an application bar, so you use an application bar to show icons for commonly used tasks. Okay, for example, sharing an app, sharing a page in your application. Okay, question. One question, other than development, which background theme consumes more battery, dark or light? That's light, of course. I mean, that's everywhere, not just Windows Phone. In any device, like the screen is almost it's a battery. I mean, like it eats the battery. The screen, the bigger the bigger the screen, the more pixels it can show you. That means that you're consuming more battery. And the white, that's kind of the highest. That's the most illuminated part. So so the light will always consume more than the dark. That's whether it's a Windows phone, whether it's a tablet, whether it's whatever device it is. White is always more consuming than the dark. Welcome. Okay. Um, so again, we use the application bar icons or buttons so that we use that in order to show to do the things that we do most on the application the thing that we do a lot in our application. For example, if you want to share, then most probably you want to have the sharing there. If you want to, it depends on your application, but like that's how it should look like. So so using an application bar to show icons for commonly used tasks, you use this in preference to putting buttons and hyperlinks on the page itself. And this is actually the Windows Phone kind of a user's experience, and that's what users should expect that's what user already expects in their applications, the current applications that are already on their phones, and that what should they expect in the upcoming app that you should develop. You can have up to 4 buttons in your application bar. You don't have to fill all the 4 buttons if not needed. Just use when needed. We do not want to fill buttons and Chrome and other things that we might not use in our application. Just used when needed. Um, oh, okay. You can swipe up the bar to bring up the menu. And we'll show that once you start developing the app bar. You can use a white foreground and transparent background for icons. The system will colorize the button for you according to the user selected theme. It's very nice. So let me check. So have you guys? This is a question. Have you developed an application bar before? And if you did you use code for it or just use the user interface? I mean, did you use the XAML code or the user interface? Usually in Blender XAML. Okay, so I have I copy paste XAML usually. Okay, you copy paste XAML usually. That's what lots of people do actually. But okay. So this is how the code looks like, right? So this is how the code looks like. You know, it's in your XAML, application bar, here are the buttons, the icon button, the menu item that you're having. Each one has got a name, an icon URI to show the picture you want to show. That's for the icon buttons. The tag, there is text and a click button event that you can handle. For the menu item, you can just there's a text for it and a click button that you can handle. You can copy paste and you keep copying. If you want to add more menu items, you just keep copy pasting that. However, like let's just taking the same application that we're having, main page, right? So let's build an application bar without doing what the guys used to do about writing code or even copy pasting the code. Okay, so now I'm selecting the page here. If you go down the properties of your application, you'll find the application bar. You just click new, and then you'll find an application bar being added to your XAML code without having to copy paste anything. And then I like to easy program things. Honestly, I don't like to keep coding. I mean, like, I love coding, but I mean, like, unless it's unnecessary, it's I just I want to get my project done. And that's when if you guys go to a professional life and you go on projects and deadlines, you'll find that, like, the most successful one is the one who gets things easily, the faster and more efficient. So you'll find the buttons here, so you can just click on that one and then you can just add buttons. So now I just added a button. I can just add another button, so I can select the first button. I can choose from the URIs I have, like an ad, for example. I can add a text, so I can just type add. It's enabled. Go to the next button. You can make it like, I don't know, maybe a back button, whatever you can have here, like, I don't know, a heart. So that's like, I don't know. I like. So that's something that you can do, and then you press OK, and look what you've got here. That's an application bar with the two icon buttons that you have. Very easy to implement. You didn't need to copy paste any code or need to memorize any code, because again, at least for me, I've never memorized any code. I can understand code. I love to understand code, but memorizing code is not wouldn't make you a good developer. But understanding the code and the concept and how to make things done, that would make you a better developer. And now you got the 2 buttons, and let me check because I've seen lots of things. Questions. What is the best way to change the icon image according to the theme that the user will choose? Okay, so thanks, Ernest. Yes, the app bar, the system will automatically change that for you, and I will show you that in a second. So again, just for that question, we've got the device. Let me just pin that one here. So if you, as you know, the theme, we can set the theme to light, and look at that, it just changed automatically for us, right? But make sure that if you're using like your own, you can use your own images to make your own app bar. So you just double check that it works fine with both. But if you're using the ones that are preset, then they just work fine. Default change automatically, no, not custom. Yes, the default change automatically. Yeah, and that's what I showed you here, without even needing to run the app to check that. Okay. And if you would like to handle any of the clicks, you can just double click on any of them, and you should go to the back, but it's not like clicking. Okay, you can just go to the event here, and you can select it. Make sure that it's selected. Yep, here. So you can just click the add. What's wrong with that? Whatever. I can just double click on the click here, and just now I have the button click, and can move the navigation that I have here in the button. And you can just move it, copy it. Now I'm handling that in my button. So whenever I click this application button, which is a plus, which means add, which is not meaningful actually, it will move me to the next page. Same as you do with a regular button. You're just handling the click. Okay, so that was for the application buttons. So what about if you guys? Okay, let's see questions. We're getting lots of questions. In my application, my custom icons also automatically change. Yes, that's true. Okay, what about text? That will happen right away. Depends on the text. If you use the styles, which is something we mentioned last session, there's the styles that you can assign to your text and that you can use, which we covered last session. Then you can even assign the text. For example, like the text of this button, you can assign it to the accent color of your where are the styles? We need to do it in the text. Okay. So if you have just a text block or something, like if you just add a text block, right click and edit the styles of it, you can just make this style of this text block. You can choose lots of the styles that are there for the Windows Phone. Like for example, the scenes, like the accent color, which is red. So whenever you change the color, then the colors of your text changes as well. Uh, Okay, can you please tell how to navigate to Windows Phone Store rate and review page using rate icon in own application? Uh, Thanks, Ernest. I mean, like that's really the code for it. But in a different session. Yes, I mean, like when publishing our application, we're gonna talk about that one. But if you need to know, I mean, like this would do the trick for you. The one that was shared by you can just use the one you shared by Ernest. But you need to include the phone tasks library. It will just pop you out for you. It's not a big deal. Okay, guys, we're really running out of time, so we need to. I just want to show you the end of this one, the application bar. So going again back to my application bar, I can add. Where is my application bar? Oh, that's the event. Oh, okay. Okay, that's great. Okay, I want to go to my application bar. So I added now buttons to my application bar. Okay, what about menu items? So the same thing that I do, like add like a menu item, like I don't know, like go, whatever application. The other text is back. Anything. I'm just for demo purposes. And now when you just go there, you need again. There's the go on the back, and then you can handle it the same way you're handling the same way you're handling the buttons. You just click on it and then do the menu item. So let me just make some space for view. So here's the app bar. No, we want the go. So here it is. So you can just double click, and then in the code behind you can handle that one as well. Okay. Any questions for that, or should we move forward because we're running out of time, and we need to go in the asynchronous and await. No questions. Okay. So again, application bar in the landscape. In landscape mode, the application bar is positioned on the left side of the screen, making good use of the screen displayed area. It wouldn't make sense to keep it along the bottom of the screen. It will take much space, honestly. So when the vertically displayed dimension is, it is so reduced. So right. So the bottom graphic shows the layout of the application bar when the user is swiped to reveal the menu items, as you can see here. So this is how it would look like in a landscape mode, and as you can see here, like this magnifier, it is in the proper direction. However, it's in a landscape mode. The system itself, the OS, when it knows that you're moving from a portrait mode to a landscape mode, you'll find these are kind of rotating with you like 90 degrees, so that they look right on and give a better user experience to the user. They don't look like they're not well positioned. Okay, what about the application bar opacity? By default, the background of the application bar is the solid theme color, black or white. However, you can set the opacity or the opacity property of the application bar to less than 100%, right down to 0%, or from 1 to 0, whatever you want. So when the opacity is less than 100%, that means your application can have the entire screen. So let me just zoom in here. As you can see here, this is the button, and behind the button you can see still the list, right? That's because of the opacity is less than 100%. Okay, let me zoom out. So you can put a solid rectangle of color behind the application bar. You can do lots of things in customizing your application bar. That's how we did the application bar design, and we did the demo before even doing the app, the slide. What about handling screen orientation changes? Okay, so your phone UI, the phone UI design orientation, the application does not work in landscape mode by default. It's always a default as a portrait, because not all applications do or need to do that. However, you can configure your application to support both portrait or landscape mode. You can do that in your example page. You can just go in the, let me zoom in for you. Oops, sorry. It's the supported orientation. Okay, supported orientation in your example page, it's portrait. You can change that to landscape or to portrait or landscape, so whichever you want your application to start. So that's why when you open games, most games you'll find them all in landscape, so that you can see more visibles and more animations. So again, we've got like portrait only, or landscape only, or portrait or landscape. Okay, you can set the values whatever you want. Your application can bind an event which is fired when the orientation changes, which means that, for example, if the orientation changes, if you're playing a game, you can pause the game. You can, like there's an event that you can handle, or is fired when the orientation changes, and you can bind your application to that event, and then execute whatever code you want based on that change in the orientation. So that's just for you guys to know. Layout. So looking at the layout of this application, the Contoso cookbook that we showed in last session, as you can see here, that's the our famous pivot page with the recipe and the ingredient on the page, and the title and the content, and the preparation time and everything. And that's, so if that's in a portrait mode. If you just add a landscape mode, that's how it would look like. However, it won't look okay, right? So the layout needs to be optimized for a better view and a better user experience. That would be fine, it would work, but it's not like the best user experience, right? The user won't feel like he's really making use of all of this black spaces, and the picture can be a little bit smaller, and then you can add more content, and that's what you can do, right? In optimizing for landscape mode. So using a grid to aid the landscape layout, and as we mentioned in our last session, so the grid is kind of your table. it's your friend. So we're having here in the pivot table, we're having here we're defining the columns and the rows of our grid. So a grid is kind of a table for you guys who did not attend last session, and you're defining how many columns and how many rows, and the sizes of these rows and columns in the column definition and the row definition in your XAML code. So in a portrait mode, the second column of the grid is not used, so that's why you make the width of the column of the. So we have here two columns, column 0 and column number 1, and we're adding like asterisk to the first column, because you don't need another column in a portrait mode. And again, the star or the asterisk means that the column 0 will take everything left after anything that is explicitly assigned to the auto. So for this example, that would mean that the second width or the second column doesn't mean anything. We've got 4 rows. Row number 0 is the one that is automatic, which means that it will the height of this row will be yes. Tell me. Yep. Hello. Hello. It would be a mistake. One mistake. Tell me. No, there are no mistakes. Osama? Osama? Oh, okay.
Yes, it would be a mistake by Collins.
No, it won't be a mistake. I'll tell you why. Let me. So so tell me why you think is going to be a mistake.
No, I am talking about Collins, the guy who interrupted us in the call.
Ah, okay. So okay. Sorry, I felt like you were saying, but what I'm doing is that there's something wrong. So okay. So we have here 4 rows, and again, like if you set the height to auto, that means the height of your row is set to the height of the text block you're having. Right? So if it's like the text is like font is 9, then the height of that font is like that would be the height of your row as well. And that's the auto for it. We got like auto for the first row, 240 fixed height for the picture, and then a star for the third row, which is the content or the description of the recipe, and then we have an auto for the last row, which is the preparation time, which is the one we add the things. So a quick question: do you know the difference between an auto and a star? Anyone doesn't know the difference, because this is very important. Just want to see. So guys, any questions? Do you know the difference between a star and an auto? We mentioned that last session. I don't want to go through it again, but just okay. No, star to get the whole remaining space. Auto is to automatically align or adjust to the control that is inside your row. Yep, other way around. Thank you. So when moving to the landscape mode, using this grid with the same value that we're having, look what will happen. Oh, okay, sorry. Look what will happen. In the landscape mode, you know, in our first column that we have, which is which is the star, which means that it will contain everything that we're adding. So in the landscape, the recipe description moves into the second row, right? So which is what we're doing here. It's in the second row because we're having 4 rows. So we're moving the recipe to the second row, and this column. So this means that in this row and this column, then which is the auto. So second row is an automatic, so it will automatically align to the width, and we've got the width of the picture is 240. Now, okay, questions. I can't see the slide. Okay, sorry guys, that's a very, thank you for that one. There's something happened moving between pages. Someone took me as a presenter, So can you please guys stop taking over as presenters? Someone took over as a presenter, so I just, please guys, don't do that. Yeah, I'm a bit sick. Sorry, I'm having a fever today, so I'm sorry if I'm taking more time here. That should go a bit down here. So guys, let's really, because we're running out of time, and my async wait is super important for me. Okay. So what we want to do here is is from row 2 to row 1. We need to move from row 2 to row 1. And so in the landscape, the recipe description should moves into the second row, right? And the second column and the third row of the grid is now unused. Since the row is the row's height is star, so it shrinks to the minimum, so, which is kind of 0, so it does not exist for the user. But the other things exist, and you can move these elements in the code behind. You can do like the setting the property. If the application, when the orientation changes to a landscape left or a landscape right, you can change the property or the values, like move things from the put the like the direction of the scroller viewer to grid row number 1 or and to column number 1. You can do that, right? So this you can do this by binding the that to the event handler. Okay.
We cannot see your slides.
Okay.
It's the whiteboard again.
Okay. I want to know who is taking over as presenter. It's Collins again. Okay, Collins, I'm sorry, I'll have to make you as an attendee. I'm just sorry for that. I saw you, Collins. No problem. So, no, I can throw people off. I'm sorry. That's inappropriate. So anyway, guys, really, we're running out of time here. So I just, oh my God, we're really running out of time. So you can do that in an orientation page change. You can do that like in the code behind, like whenever they add orientation change, you can assign the things, and you can set the value of the row of the columns accordingly, and according to which orientation you're doing, right? I'm not going to do the demo for the orientation handling now because I want to make sure that you get the async and await first, and we've gone through the design session last time. So if you have any question for design, let's keep it till the end. Okay. So just supporting multiple screen resolutions. For Windows Phone, we've got 3 screen resolutions so far: the WVGA, the WXGA, the 720p. Which means so the very initial question: do I have to develop for 3 different UIs? No, you don't. Developers, developers we work with device independent pixels. The OS applies a scale factor to the actual resolution. So unlike Windows 8, and because of the huge screen changes, so the auto scale might not be the same. But it's Windows Phone. There's an auto scale that helps you do just develop for 1 screen. And then you're good to go with the others. What about scaled resolutions? And again, like 480 by 800, and then the 480 by 853, and these are the sizes. Use always the auto and the star on grid rows to ensure good layouts across different screens. So if you take an example to that screen, we've got that's WVGA, which is a smaller screen. So that's what you have from a content. And since we're having here as a star, so what we had in this XAML, that would be a 240 height. The row is defined as a 240, and that's 240. That's a star, and that's an auto. So that will assign to the size of the control inside, and that's going to be will kind of eat up the rest of the screen for the description. So that's why it doesn't look bad. So that's why you have to use the star and the auto in your slide in your XAML code. What about the images? In most cases, you do not. You should apply the images targeting the WXGA as this will as that is the highest quality, and that will automatically scale down on the WVGA and will still look great on the 720p as well. So unless you're a pixel perfect person and you want to add images for each screen resolution in your project, you can do that. You can do like my image.wbja.png, .wxja.png, .720p.png, and at runtime you can use that method to do the scale factor for you to determine. You can use this scale factor method to determine which screen resolution that your application is running at, and then you can choose which image you'd like to load based on that scale factor that you're having. So if you use this application.current.host.content.scale factor, if you get 100, that means you're running on a WVGA screen. If you get 160, you're running on a WXGA screen. If you get 150, then it's a 720p screen. That's if you're kind of a pixel perfect person. And of course, you need to write code to load images at the runtime appropriate for the current screen resolution. Okay, next. So what about splash screens? So the splash screen is kind of the introduction to your application. It's very good with brandings, and for if you would like to have a brand to your application, I would expect like at least all games to have splash screens. Most apps should have splash screens, maybe with a logo or something on it. Again, so to add a splash screen to your project, suitable for resolution, you add a file as content. You go to the properties of this file and mark it as a content file, and then you add a splash screen image.jpg at that resolution, and then the framework automatically scales it to the correct size on different resolutions. Unless, again, if you're a pixel perfect person, then you can add images with different names, and then you can always do these kind of images to your application. But in addition to these images, you must still include the default splash screen image in your application as well. We've got app icons and tiles. These are the sizes you need to know about. The application tile, application icon is 100 by 100 on the WXGA. Small is 159 and 159. The medium, these are for the tile sizes, so that when you're developing your application, and again they should, and the WXGA again would scale automatically and in a very correct size for the WVGA and 720p. So this is the sizes you should care about and you should worry about. The Windows Phone Toolkit, I will not go through it. So the Windows Phone Toolkit, I will just skim through it because of the time constraints we're having. So are we getting questions? Okay, here are the questions. It also scale up our images, or we have to separately store images of different sizes. It can also scale up your images. No problems with that. Okay, I guess we need to add images for different sizes only. It will place it automatically, choose the image according to the resolution. So just create the largest image will scale. Yeah, that which is the WXGA. Okay, these are for the questions. Okay, we've got a toolkit. Let me open a website for you quickly. It is, if you just go to your website and go to phone.codeplex.com that I told, I'm not sure if I told you about. It's a very so the Windows Phone product team, they added more controls to a Windows Phone toolkit. If you're not familiar with, please guys do download that. There's a way to download it through the NuGet, or you can just go to the source code and you can download the source code for yourself. And what you'll find is you will find lots of controls that are not coming with the SDK, like list picker, navigation transitions, a wrap panel, a long list like that for 7.x. But you can find like rating control, date time picker. If you play with a Windows Phone, that it's something that you would see. So there are lots of things, cool things. It's for free. You can just use it and apply it to your application and then get a better UI. And for the source code, and just let me just tell you something even about the source code. The good thing about the source code is that you can get that source code and even customize that to fit your application, right? So you find the samples, user controls, you can do whatever things. It's the XAML and the C# and the code behind for it. Let me check. Yeah, please guys, so here's the link. It's very easy to implement, to use and reuse in your application, and it will definitely give a nice Windows Phone 8 taste to your application. So that's the link on the IM. Yeah, thanks Collins. It would be nice if you can share with us the link that would be nice with if you can share the link. So going back to the slides, which is okay. So that's the you can download that again from through the NuGet, the controls like the context menu, date and time picker, as you can see here, so that you have the same user interface from the Windows Phone, a toggle switch, a wrap panel that you can add colors or whatever you have in a wrap panel, list picker, different list pickers, amazing really that you can override that and reuse that in your application. Page transitions, enabling transition on a page. Yeah, okay, we're getting. Whenever I'm not sure if you ever play with a Windows Phone app or not, but if you're running a Windows Phone application and you're moving from a page to another, like if it's at least you can add this home like a page so that you feel like the page is moving with you, it's scrolling or rotating or sliding or whatever. You can get that from the transition page transition in the kit itself. So I think that's enough with building apps on Windows Phone, and let's move to the asynchronous programming. So any questions for the building apps, because I really need to jump in the asynchronous programming, give you a quick overview and with some demos to describe the differences. Good. Any questions, please guys, feel free to stop me. Okay.